You are listening to the We Are West Ham United podcast. It's not what it's called, but with me, Will Pugh, and my mate and co-host James Jones, fresh off of the back of the Premier League opener, which I would just like to remind everyone, James Jones was really excited for and feeling optimistic about, as were loads of you on the Patreon messages, on our socials, in my DMs, up and down the country, full of optimism about the new season. Graham Potter's going to be all right. He's a good manager. We just need to get behind him. The squad's not too bad and the transfer window's been all right. Well, how do we feel about that now? I'm sick and tired, James, of people thinking that I'm just doing the miserable, it's going to be rubbish bit as a bit of a shtick, when actually I'm just reasonable at evaluating the quality of a football team and a squad. What a depressing start to the season. How are you?
I'm all right. I'm okay. I felt like we probably could lose. I know last week I was
2-1 West Ham was your prediction.
I know I was like, 2-1 West Ham. Callum Wilson winner. It's written in the stars. It's definitely going to happen. Thank me later. Thank me later. But there was a little voice in the back of my head going, but we could also lose this easily, and it would be like no surprise whatsoever. No one would bat an eyelid the fact that we just got beaten by a newly promoted Sunderland. What I didn't see was getting battered 3-0. That was a little bit of a shock for me, and it's just upset me a little bit, if I'm honest. I won't lie.
Are you surprised? Because I'll be honest, right? And this is a constant battle that I've had. And I must admit, I would genuinely say thanks so much to lots of people who have reached out probably over the last 12 months, basically, who have genuinely gone, you know what, like, fair play, mate. Yeah, like, it has been bad. And sort of bit of a, I don't know, shoulder to cry on or whatever it is, just going, look, yeah, I didn't either, whether they agreed or not. You've been calling it as it not being that it wasn't going to go very well, and you were spot on. I thought you were being miserable for a while, but that's exactly what's happened. It must be frustrating, blah, blah, blah. I'm just caught in this perennial, for the last 12 months, perennial cycle of going, this is how I feel and what I think. But I better not say that because that just sounds proper defeatist and miserable. And like, people will come to the We Are West Ham podcast for a bit of lightheartedness as much as everything else. But as we know, obviously you get a few messages going, you're speaking from the heart. And last week, I didn't want to start the season by going, I reckon we're going to get stuffed at Sunderland. But that's exactly what I was thinking. And then when it happened, there wasn't a single percentage of me that was at all surprised, because I think it's so bleak. My trick of speaking in a loud volume, energetic fashion, which I tried to mask my actual state of misery last week by just talking a bit faster and louder in the hope that people would be excited by a new season. It's just come crashing down immediately. We'll get to some of the specific messages that I received at the end of the show tonight. So if you've got in touch on Patreon or socials and you're wondering why we haven't answered or in that much detail, it's because I wanted to do it on the podcast. So we'll get to those at the end of the show. We'll do some messages. But honestly, mate, were you at all surprised?
I think, having watched the highlights, I watched the extended highlights back earlier today. I only caught a little bit of the game, and there's a story behind that, and I'm happy to go into that story. It's quite a good one. But
what a cliffhanger for part 2 for everyone there.
Yeah. So, but I watched the extended highlights today, and parts of me were like, God, if that had gone in, it'd have been a whole different story. Like there was some good.
What are you talking about?
The Bowen chance, the Juve chance, especially. Like, he's beating the goalkeeper, the defender slid in and got there, and the build-up play to that effort was really good.
The one that was blocked on the line by the bloke David Moyes wanted to sign for us.
Yes, probably. Yeah, that one. So it's like there's a couple of opportunities where I'm like, if that had gone in, like last season that goes in, or 2 seasons ago it goes in, it's like,
it wouldn't last season.
Jared Bowen normally buries those. If that defender weren't there, that would have gone in because the keeper's beat. And it's like, I'm watching it going, I don't want to be like, oh, we were so unlucky. We were so unlucky. But there were a couple of chances where I'm like, oh, like another day that goes in and then the whole game's a different story. But listen, it's a big but. You don't lose 3-0 and deserve you don't lose 3-0 and still deserve to take someone out of the game. It's not an accident. There's a reason why you've lost 3-0.
Yeah, you've done a few bad football things to lose 3-0, haven't you?
And the all 3 goals are avoidable in my eyes. And we'll go into it. Even if we score those 2 clear-cut chances, the Bowen one and then the Juve one, it's still 3-2. So like we haven't won a game yet. We haven't even drawn a game still with those 2 goals going. So at the end of the day, Sunderland 100% deserved to win that game. Fair play to them. Back in the Premier League, the stadium looked like it was absolutely bouncing. So fair play to them. It's not the best start. If I'm honest,
just so everyone knows what's coming up on the show tonight, we'll do the full Sunderland reaction in part 2. We're going to have a chat just immediately. James Jones, we're fairly well known, I'd like to think, in the West Ham space on the We Are West Ham podcast. James has ensured that we were shot to superstardom last week. Some of the most viewed social numbers we've ever seen on the We Are West Ham podcast and associated platforms. So we'll have a chat about that in a minute. James thought it'd be a laugh to serve us up some viral content for Tottenham fans who apparently beat Real Madrid at home this weekend. Or that's certainly what some of their comments to us on Twitter have suggested. I thought it was just Burnley, newly promoted Burnley they beat, but apparently it was Real Madrid. So we'll chat about that in a minute. We'll do a reaction of the Sunderland game for as long as we can bear it. And then we'll cap off the show with some of your messages around the game and some of your reaction and what you thought about things at West Ham. Obviously, Karen Brady did their interview with Talk Sport as well with Sean Custis on the weekend on Sunday morning. We'll have a quick chat about that towards the end as well. And don't forget that later this week, you will have a separate Opposition View podcast. This week, it is with Charlie Patrick from Chelsea Fan TV. And for a Chelsea fan, a very sensible, cerebral guy who I enjoy chatting to very much. So that'll be with you later on in the week. That will be with you Thursday if you're a Patreon member. It'll be with you Friday for everyone else. And of course, you can catch it on the We Are West Ham podcast YouTube channel as well. James, last week on the podcast, we had some fairly forthright views about Mohammed Kudus, which we aired. Alex Smith, who does our all of our editing for us and our social posting, and it's just an all-round. He's the oil which oils the machine, the machinery, oils the wheels. Nah, God, I'm stumbling over that one, mate. What is Alex? He's the oil which greases the cogs of the We Are West Ham podcast machine. There you go.
Yes, I think.
Yeah, we'll say yes, mate. Okay. Say yes. So that's what Alex does. And he clipped up a post or a little bit about us talking about Mohammed Kudus, which started with James Jones saying, haha, we have pulled Tottenham's pants down with that one. 55 million quid. 55 million quid. Mohammed Kudus played for Tottenham against Burnley, I believe.
No, Real Madrid. It's Real Madrid.
Sorry, mate. Sorry. Yeah. Newly promoted Burnley and got 2 assists at the weekend. And Tottenham fans, put it this way: our clip caught on among Tottenham Twitter, did it not?
And TikTok. It did one on TikTok as well. Like it's about 400 comments on it. It's unbelievable.
Can you sum up some of the sort of gist of them for us?
Well, I'm pretty battle hardened.
What was it? Head in the sand type of thing.
I'm pretty battle hardened. I've got very thick skin after you
really are.
I've had several death threats over the years for literally what is literally just an opinion on football. And I'm used to it. I think we spoke about when we were doing this as a radio show, the amount of abuse I've had. And my views on Brighton got upset a lot of people on the South Coast.
Yeah,
back in the day. So I'm used to it, and I find it funny now because I just find it weird how football fans just get so irate over someone else's opinion on the same thing that they like. It's just odd. Like, yes, we can disagree, but no need to call me like all these names.
Yeah, right.
But the best one for me, and it literally sums up modern day football fans.
Yeah,
where it's like, I think all he puts is. Your team's rubbish. He didn't use the word rubbish, but we're a clean, family-friendly podcast.
Family-friendly, brand-safe podcast. The We Always Stand podcast.
You know your team's rubbish when you spend all your time talking about your rivals and none of your time talking about your team. And in my head, I'm like, mate, are you dense? Like, what? You think me and my co-host Will Pugh have just jumped on for 60 seconds? And just spoken, literally only said that thing that you've watched and then gone, right, that's us for the week. We're done. Thanks very much. Look forward to seeing you guys next week. Thanks for paying £3 to all our subscribers for that 60-second clip. Like, are you that stupid? You think that all I've done this week is to say that 60-second clip about Mohammed Kudus? You've got to be the thickest person in the world. So there's that. I'm sorry, I'm entering non-brand safe here, aren't I?
A little bit.
Yeah, I'm a little bit just like some of the comments, just like, no, you've called me stupid, but your comment has made you look stupid because you're the one having a pop at me and calling me names on social media. Like, come on, grow up, mate. Grow up.
Yeah.
Go and put your kids to bed or something. Make yourself busy. Like, just do something different. Like, it's not for you. So yeah, I've had like, I must admit, I was giggling Sunday morning. I was really
mate.
I was having such a good time because I love it. I love people abusing me on social media. It's the best.
It is
thing.
quite funny, isn't it? It's
the
quite
best
funny
thing, especially when it's Tottenham fans because they think they're the world's best thing, and they're not. They're not.
At Hotshot Tottenham NUM. Check out these twerps.
Can't even spell the name of his own football team, for crying out
loud. Kudus has been brilliant for us so far, but you keep telling yourself that, lads. So far. Sorry, a couple of pre-season games, a couple of assists against Burnley. All right, so far, yeah.
Grow up, mate.
I would also like to point out as well that Kudus had a very good first season for us. And as soon as the going gets a bit tough at Tottenham and he down tools or an actual big club comes in for him and he fancies going and then he just doesn't do anything, I'm sure you'll have a slightly different view on it. Absolute bargain in today's market. Thank you, West Ham. Pulled our pants down. Lol. Have a day off. Talk Sport. This is from Jackie Connor, a West Ham fan. Talk Sport apparently was saying that Mohammed Kudus is going to be Tottenham's new Heung-min Son.
I mean, we're the deluded ones. Apparently. We don't know what we're talking about.
I'm not sure about that. This aged like milk. Thank you for continuing to feed us. I think we've had your pants and skids down after yesterday's performance. You boys looking at what the refund cooling off period is. I don't think it works like that. I don't think you can sell something and then claim a refund. I think once you've sold it, you don't own it anymore.
Yeah, that's not how it works, mate. That's just, this kind of underlines my original comment. Like, how stupid can you get?
This is hilarious, and I look forward to how well this ages as the season goes on. How are you feeling about that, James? You at all anxious about the chance that Kudus has an absolute Ballon d'Or season and that keeps coming back to haunt us for the rest of the season?
Well, he's not going to have a Ballon d'Or season. Let's nip that one in the bud straight away, right? He might have a good season and he might get a very similar number of goal contributions than he did for us in his first season.
Yeah.
Which was probably what I think it was like 19, 20.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, that's the kind of level that you should be paying top dollar for.
Yeah.
But I'm looking at the second season. There's a couple of fans going, yeah, well, you said it's nothing to do with his first season, the value. It's all about his second season. So, yeah, but that's true.
yeah. It's both.
You're not buying Mohammed Kudus because he had a good season 2 years ago. You're buying Mohammed Kudus because you think he's good because he scored 3 goals last year.
No, but they've paid 55 million on for season 1, Kudus, haven't
yes,
they?
But that's just silly though, because like they haven't looked at season 2.
Well, I imagine they probably did. But
I mean, if they did, they wouldn't have paid 55 million quid for him.
Well,
that's the point. That's the point.
No, I think after season 1, he was an £85 million player because that was his release clause. And then he knocked 30 million off last season. Yeah, David Miller, he's a bargain, and deep down they know it. We did have a couple of West Ham fans who are supposed to be on our side saying this is delusional, he'll be excellent for them. Oh my God, look at this one. So true. We had our pants down last night from jumping. Oh, Kudus, you'll always be relevant. I mean, what? You were jumping up and down so hard at the stadium, your pants fell down.
That's just a mixture of words that doesn't make any sense to me. It's like, what are you doing?
A very odd way to spend time on your own podcast, talking about a former West Ham player. That's weird. Yeah. I mean, lots of Tottenham fans. Fair play to them. I suppose after last season's league form, that beating Burnley at home probably is a bit of a relief for them. But yeah, lots of Tottenham fans going on as if would have happily paid £80 million after one competitive game. That is wild.
See, I've just read that comment just quickly, and I was going to bring that one up because it's like, how do you know? How do you know, mate? Like,
what's that?
It's not your money. Like, would have happily paid £80 million. Mate, it's not your money. I can guarantee you won't even earn £80 million in your lifetime. And you're going to
almost certainly not, mate.
Yeah, it's like I would have happily paid £80 million. Yeah, I'm sure you would have done, mate. Yeah,
with someone else's money. Forget the old man THFC. Forget last season. Forget it, Joe. Didn't happen. Forget it. Terry said forget it.
I wish I could, to be fair.
2 assists in one game. What a pair of mugs you are. And thank you so much for selling to us. It wasn't our decision, Terry. I'll be honest. I think it was David Sullivan and the board. Yeah. 2 assists, but seriously though, 2 assists in one game. Like a fair play
against newly promoted Real Madrid, by the way.
Yeah, well, exactly. But it is Burnley. It is Burnley, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like, to
managed by
as fun as it all is, like
managed by Scott Parker, who I love. Well, everyone loves Scott Parker. He's a hero. But managed by Scott Parker, who in the Premier League era has won 3 games in about 40 games. Like the guy does not win Premier League football matches as a manager. I think he's a Premier League manager. I love him, but he's not.
He's put it this way. It was like they had a tricky. It was no Sunderland away, was it? They had. Do you know what I mean?
It was no Sunderland away. They didn't have
like a real challenge.
Like the atmosphere bubbling.
But they certainly didn't have the atmosphere. No,
Stadium Light was absolutely rocking.
Yeah,
you try and play at Stadium Light when it's buzzing.
Can Kudus do it on a boiling hot Saturday in Sunderland? That is the question, isn't it?
He couldn't do it any week anywhere last season. So
apart from when we played a team we'd already got relegated, wasn't it? Once our season was proper dead and buried. Yeah,
he came to sunny Suffolk in May and went, "Oh, I'll bang one in this week. Why not?"
Yeah. A bit like that might have added an extra £5 million on the Tottenham. Anyway, if you fancy a laugh, either at mine and James's expense, or at a load of Tottenham fans, feel free to head on over to basically any of the We Are West Ham social platforms, and just have a look at all the comments and the replies. They are quite funny, whichever side your bread's buttered, to be honest. Even if you think me and James are ridiculous, it's funny. If you think Tottenham fans are weird, it's also funny. So head over there. Look, if you want more of that cutting edge analysis, and you think, you know what I would like is just to have it a bit earlier than everyone else and not listen to any adverts, patreon.com/We Are West Ham podcast. That is where you can go. You can sign up there for early access and ad-free listening. You get the podcast a day before everyone else and no adverts. What's more to like? Just for a few quid every month. You can also follow us, which I hope you already do, on any of our social platforms at @WeAre_West Ham on Twitter, We Are West Ham Pod on Instagram, and you can subscribe, of course, as you well should, to the We Are West Ham podcast YouTube channel, where you can watch these videos of me and James. I'm in my new flat. It's very echoey, which I've only just realised. Jonesy, there's a big picture of me and my dad and Billy Bonds on the wall behind me, as well as a cartoon of the old Upton Park, which is lovely. James has got a plain white wardrobe behind him. So what, again, if that's not going to send you over, then I don't know what will. Busy show coming up. I think we've done 19 minutes now, James, of putting off having to talk about West Ham United 0, Sunderland 3. So yeah, we better get to it. Follow us on socials, subscribe to the Patreon, subscribe to our YouTube channel. Sunderland reaction coming up. Where do you want to start then? First half was all right, is all I keep hearing. and it was fine. It wasn't that good. It was all right. Like you say, we had a couple of chances, didn't really do anything with them, and then come out in the second half and thought, nah, don't really fancy it. Don't really fancy any points. Not only that, I'd actually like to be as far down the Premier League table as possible after game one. Thank God for Wolves is all I can say, Jonesy, but they actually played Manchester City, which is arguably more excusable. Probably the worst defeat of any team in the Premier League this weekend, I would say. Certainly the most embarrassing one. Nothing against Sunderland. They played fine. They played like a normal Premier League football team who care about their jobs. That honestly, people was like, Sunderland were amazing. They weren't. They were fine. They were really good. They didn't do anything wrong at all. They didn't do anything wrong. They were like really good. They were up for it. They kind of did what you'd expect as a baseline for a Premier League team to do, which was turn up, be professional, like defend when defending's required, and attack with a bit of vigor and some ideas. Maybe I'm sort of foolish in thinking that is kind of the base level of expectation for fans. But fair play. The fans were good. What an occasion for them. Great start to the season. Not a single bad word to say. Graham from WTF Sunderland, who we had on last week, he didn't think they were going to win. But I was like, well, just you wait, Graham. Exactly what happened. So, yeah, that's kind of my summary in a nutshell, Jonesy. I did manage to watch the whole game. But my level of sort of intent and interest with which I was watching it started to fade fairly quickly, to be quite frank.
Well, I missed the first half. I was in the pub and I was watching the Soccer Saturday, and so they would occasionally go. I can't remember who was on it, but they were going, West Ham are really good. They're doing good. They've had a couple of good chances. Sunderland have had some chances as well, but West Ham looked a better team. And I'm like, that's only a matter of time. Only a matter of time.
Until what?
And then, but to the right of me, so there's a big. I'm in the beer garden. They've got a big screen outside, and to the right of me was this young couple. He's got his back to me. She's kind of facing me a little bit. And he gets up just as the second half started, and he gets up to go to the loo. And I look over at the table, and I realised he's been on his phone, and he's accidentally come across somewhere that's showing the West Ham game on his phone, and it's on the table.
Amazing that happens, isn't it?
Propped up on his pint glass, and I went, "Oh God!" So when he comes back, I can't do it now because his missus is sitting there on her own, and it look a bit weird. Me going, "Do you mind if I join you to watch the game, please?"
Is she still watching the footy?
No, she kind of was, and she wasn't. So he comes back, and I said, "I'm really sorry, mate. Do you mind if I'll see you watching West Ham? Do you mind if I jump in and watch it with you both?" And he went, "Oh yeah, of course, West Ham, come on, you words."
Yeah.
This is at 0-0, and I'm like, "Yeah." So we'll do the crossed hammers together, and it's all really fun. Yeah. It's all very weird as well because we're in Suffolk.
Yeah.
So I was like, "Oh, great!" And I've also made two very nice friends as well.
Yeah.
Within 5 minutes of me doing that, we're 1-0 down, and I was like, "I'm really sorry, guys. I've really jinxed this, haven't I? I'm going to go back and sit over there." And he said, "No, stay here." So we watched the game together, and the second half together, and it was terrible. If I'm honest, to the point where we missed the third goal because we were too busy talking about other stuff. I think at one point I turned into their marriage counsellor.
Yeah.
And we were just getting into really deep conversations about stuff. But I want to give a shout out Michael and his girlfriend. Very, very nice couple. And I think we did exchange numbers. I'm going to meet Michael for a beer on Friday at the Chelsea game. So if anything, we lost 3-0, but I made a friend, which was nice.
Yeah.
So shout out to Michael and his girlfriend.
Just one. Didn't get the girlfriend's name?
I'm really sorry, but I've been racking my brains knowing I'm going to talk about this. So, because I said to Michael, I said, I probably will give you a shout out because this has been really nice. I'll give you both a shout out. And I've been thinking in my head, what was her name? And I can't remember. So, Michael, I'm so sorry. I've forgotten you missed his name.
Mate, yeah, don't apologise to Michael.
She was very lovely.
Apologise to Michael, as we're calling her, Michael's girlfriend.
She was nice. She's a really nice girl, and I'm gutted that I've forgotten her name. So I'm sorry, Michael. I'll bug you on Friday, and I'll ask you again.
Apologies, Mrs. Michael. We'll do a shout out next week. All right. So of the game you did watch, James, what do you want to say about it? All right, the goalie's getting a lot of stick. What are your thoughts?
I think Hermanson's only at fault for the third one. I don't even know what he's trying to do. It's not his fault for the other two. In the first half, he pulls off a couple of good saves. That one quite early on was a very good save.
Yes, big time. Yeah.
When I watched the extended highlights,
first half, and it was 0-0.
That's quite early on in the highlights, and immediately I'm like, oh wow, we might have a keeper here. Not knowing that actually for the third goal, he has a bit of a brain fart and tries to do something silly.
Yeah.
But the first goal is Aguerd's fault. Like, just no pressure on the forward, no pressure on the guy trying to head the ball. Like, I don't know who he was coming up against in Spain last season, but like clearly he didn't have to contend with any aerial threat because he almost just forgot what to do. So that was annoying. And then the second one, for me, it's not the fact that there was no one marking the guy in the middle who headed the ball into the goal. It's the fact that the guy receives the ball literally on the halfway line, and Fulkrug should just close him down. And he kind of jogs a couple of paces, and then the Sunderland player just darts forward a bit, and then Fulkrug just gives up. It's like, well, he's gone. I'll leave that to someone else. And then the ball goes in the box, and they score. And it's like Fulkrug. Like all pre-season, we've seen West Ham pressing from the front. We saw it quite a lot, and that's what I said last week. Like, there seems to be this intensity about our pressing that we've seen in pre-season. I'm looking forward to seeing that actually in the Premier League competitively, because that is what we haven't seen over the last couple of years. Actual intense pressing, and there was the best moment to put that into practice. And he just went, nah, can't bother.
Worn out.
Can't be bothered.
Pre-season was exhausted.
So he's had a really good pre-season. He's just completely undone it for me in that split second where he just went, I could close him down, but I won't.
But I'm not interested. The first goal was well annoying, and it was just strange how like it seemed to go in so slowly. Like, worth noting, by the way, that like you say, great goal first half, great goal from Hermanson, save from the keeper. Bowen had that chance, didn't he? Maybe could have cut back. His foot was a bit of a weird angle to shoot from on his weaker foot.
He scored from there before, though, to be fair.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I just thought it was a bit of an odd decision. Diouf, really unlucky, really good covering by Bardell, who David Moyes did want to sign, by the way. And when the second half was sort of like the first goal, I'm just like watching it back now. It's just irritating how I was just sort of like no real pressure from Bowen. Yeah, like you say, Aguerd just looking at it, and it's like, oh, you had the upper hand there, Naif. Like, and then he's just and then
you got to put the striker off. You got to put him off.
It's a great header, but it annoyed me how far over the goal Hermanson had gone, and then the ball was going at about 4 miles an hour. And still trickled into the bottom corner. Hang on, I'm just recapping for the second one now. Yep, same again. Aaron Wan-Bissaka. Fancy getting on the end of it, mate? Nah, not really, not interested. All right, okay, don't worry about it. No pressure on the cross.
For me, that's less. Wan-Bissaka goes over his head, though, doesn't it? It's Paqueta that comes in a little bit.
Oh, sorry, it was Paqueta. Yeah.
But for me, it's the build up to that where it all starts. Like, it's Fulkrug just giving up. Just put.
Yeah, but even then, Paqueta is just like,
don't allow him to play forward. What are you doing?
Thoughts on Big Andy Irving, by the way? He's getting a lot of grief. Looks like he's going to be sold at one stage. He comes off the bench. Apparently, he's on free kicks.
I saw that immediately. I was like, why is he on a free kick? And they got Diouf sitting next to him, who's like been whipping crosses in all summer.
Like, Andy Irving, he's like on his way out of the club.
He's standing there going, Malik, what do I do here? Can you tell me? What do I do?
Yeah, just try and get a bit of whip on it, Andy. Just curl it. Oh, right, okay. I do. The goalie probably was at fault for the third, but just pants, just rubbish. No total lack of effort on the whole. Do you think we deserve to lose 3-0?
Yes, I do. Yeah. I think there were, especially in the first half, we probably should have scored at least one. Yeah. We had our chances. That Diouf one for me was a big opportunity. It was good defending. The keeper's well beat. And then, I know it's cliche, but on another day that does go in the back of the net, and it's a good goal because the build up to it is really good as well. There's a couple of times I saw in the highlights where Bowen just brings the ball down, turns and beats 3 players.
Yeah, immediately you can't rely on that though, can you?
You can't, but immediately you're like, this guy is so good.
Yeah.
And then the next thought is, why is he playing for us? He's so good. He's unbelievable. And without him, we would be well and truly screwed, if I'm honest.
Yeah, I totally agree, mate. I'll tell you what we'll do, right? We'll move on from this section. I don't want to talk about the actual game anymore. But next up, we'll do some messages from patrons and on the social media account. None of them from Tottenham fans, the one that are actually replying about the game and hear what all of you thought. And then me and James will sort of discuss a bit further about where that actually leaves the club and Graham Potter and what we think from here. Stay with us for all of that next. Right, come on then, Jonesy. We'll do some messages now from patrons and everyone getting involved on the socials. But what I want to hear from you first of all is it's one of them, right? Jared Bowen after the game's going, "Oh, there's 37 games of the season left." I mean, so bleak that that's your answer after day one. We're awful in the first game of the season anyway, aren't we? But what do you think? Because it's like, you know, Graham Potter basically got a pass for last season, right? It's sort of improved because he just started playing right backs at right back and centre midfielders at centre midfield, not trying to play a different sport, which is basically what Lopetegui was doing. So it sort of improved. It looked more normal, and we were watching. It looked more like a normal match of football when Graham Potter was in charge. But we didn't get much better. But everyone kind of gave him a pass because he had Lopetegui's players to play with. He's had the whole pre-season. Where does it leave us? I mean, it's fair to say I think the squad is probably weaker or in a weaker position than it was last season. Given Kudus has left, Paqueta hardly looks like he's got back to his old self after shaking off the betting cloud that was hanging over him with the investigation. He's now been cleared of all charges, of course. Give me a summary. You might be a bit overreactive. Give me a summary of where it leaves the club.
I think for me, a lot of the issue is the midfield. You know, defensively, I don't think there's a major issue. Obviously, I think Aguerd being at fault for one of the goals is alarming, given, you know, people raving about his form for Real Sociedad in La Liga last season. And I thought, well, maybe we're getting a player back here.
Different league, though, isn't it?
First game, he just does that, and it's like, really?
People still not having Kilman either.
So I haven't got a problem with Kilman. I think Kilman is a solid centre back for me. Right. He's not the best centre back in the league by any means, but I think he's a solid centre back for where we are in the league, or where we should be in the league. But for me, central midfield is a massive issue. I mean, I do not want to see Guido Rodriguez in a starting 11 over Freddie Potts ever again. Now, that says a lot about Guido Rodriguez as a footballer, because Freddie Potts has never played in the Premier League. Right? He's never played in the Premier League. And when I saw that starting lineup on Saturday, I was like, you've got to be kidding me. Freddie Potts started every single pre-season game, or all but one, or maybe two. And he started against Lille the week before in a friendly, and he get into the business. This is it. The season started. Now I'm going to stick Guido in there.
I know.
Guido can't.
The amount of messages I got when the team was announced.
So what have you done? Like, we need someone with a little bit of passion, a little bit of forward thinking, a little bit of mobility. Someone that can run, can move, can tackle, can pass a ball. So all the attributes that Guido Rodriguez clearly doesn't have, or at least isn't showing us that he has. So it's one of the most baffling decisions I've ever seen. And I don't want. For me, Freddie Potts has to play at the weekend. If we don't sign a midfielder before then, you know, we've been linked with this. Was it Mateus Fernandes at Southampton? They want 50 million. We only want to pay 30. So, well, you can't be the only one on your midfielder shortlist. Go down to the next one then if you have to. If you're not willing to pay 50 million quid, then don't pay it. Then go somewhere else and buy another one.
Karen Brady said at the weekend on the radio, when asked about the transfer window, said the board can't just go out and buy players that Graham and Kyle being Kyle McCauley, the new sort of recruitment guy, that Graham and Kyle don't want. The suggestion being, as we were sometimes led to believe was the case, led to believe being the operative word there, under David Moyes, that the narrative ended up being that David Moyes was too picky, when actually I'm just sort of surmising here, but bearing in mind that it's fairly commonly accepted that Danny Ings was a David Sullivan signing that David Moyes didn't want. Perhaps it was more that David Moyes was constantly getting offered players that David Sullivan learned that had become available, and David Moyes going, no, thank you. Potentially, we're in a situation now with Graham Potter. I do feel, and it annoys me a bit, that the Sunderland game was him making a point. And even the Guido Rodriguez thing, going, look, we are paying this bloke however many tens of thousands, hopefully not hundreds of thousands a week. So I'm going to start him because you're paying Freddie Potts probably 5 or 10 grand a week. So I'm going to start the bloke who should earn his... Like, Guido Rodriguez should be able to start a Premier League game given the money we're paying him. And it's Graham Potter doing that, surely. And just going, look...
World Cup. He's got a World Cup winners medal, that guy.
But you see my point, don't you? That it's Potter surely going, look, this is the hand I've been dealt.
I think there's an element of truth to that. But the reality is, mate, that
better cards.
He shouldn't be needing to be making a point on the first game of the season. To the board, he shouldn't be needing it.
Why so? But given genuinely though, James, the board are obviously in a position whereby they did spend £160 million on players that Julian Lopetegui wanted last season. Almost all of those will represent a loss. Such was the poor performance of the club last season, having bought all those players in and then sacked the bloke who wanted them, and also got rid of Tim Stighton. It's worth noting, like, people forget about him. Remember how much everyone was spaffing over him. You cannot just go, given the PSR restraints these days, and I'm not sticking up for the board for the sake of sticking up for them, but given the nature of the PSR rules, you can't just go out and blindly spend money. They had the Declan Rice money to factor in last transfer window as well. And now, last season was such a disaster, they're not going to make any money back on those players.
I'm not saying that the club should go out and blindly spend money on midfielders. What I'm saying is that, we're led to believe that Mateus Fernandes is number one on the wish list of Graham Potter and Carl McCauley. He's the guy. Okay. Southampton want 50 million quid. I'm like, with all due respect, like, we're not paying 50 million pound for a championship player.
No, you just went down, and he's not £5 million less than Kudus, is he?
Yeah. So let's be realistic about it. So immediately you go, okay, maybe they are already doing this. Can we get him down to 35 or 40?
Yeah,
maybe. But in the meantime, there's got to be more players on that list that are cheaper and probably can do a very similar job. Okay, maybe not as young. I think he's only 21, so it's a good signing, really, if we can get him through. I'm not saying that we should go out and just buy anyone for the sake of having a midfielder. I mean, we did that last year with Guido Rodriguez, and now that we'll be stuck with. Like, all I'm saying is that, we've had all summer to do this. Last year, and the midfield was like non-existent. This season, it's all like we've had all summer to go, right, okay, well, let's fix the problem here. The biggest problem last year was the midfield.
It weren't a flipping left back, was it?
It wasn't a 33-year-old injury-prone striker on a freebie. Like, come on. Like, let's actually get, like, for me, the priorities this summer have been a little bit like, fix the biggest issue in the squad, which is midfield. And we've now kicked off in the first game of the season with the manager seemingly playing a rubbish player in midfield to send a message to the board that he needs a new midfielder in the next 2 weeks. We should not be in this position. We should not be here. Like, we should be going, right, we've already got our midfield sorted. At the moment, problem is we haven't signed Callum Wilson because he's injury prone. I've only got Fulkrug or Callum Marshall as a backup. Can you go and get me a striker in the next 2 weeks? And if that then ends up being Callum Wilson, then you go, all right, fair enough. But we've chucked a performance-based contract at Callum Wilson for shits and giggles. Excuse my French.
Come on, this is a brand safe podcast. We're banging on about it all evening.
And instead just ignored the biggest hole in the squad, which is midfield. So that's what they've got to do in the next 2 weeks. Ideally, they've got to do that this week. Otherwise, Chelsea are going to run riot. It worries me.
Yeah. I don't know what to say. I'm going to read out some messages, James. Right. Who did we hear from? Paul, patreon.com/We Are West Ham podcast. If you want to get your messages read out on the pod as well. 64% possession, all of it between our centre backs. No pace in midfield. Bowen tried, but wasted up front next to Fulkrug. That look on his face when he broke down the right, looked up and no one was there to support him, said everything. 12 shots, 4 on target, 5 from distance. And how many times are we going to pass it sideways before giving it to Hermansen under pressure just to hoof it upfield anyway? Couldn't agree with you more there, Paul. Who else have we got? Ben Orr, I just said, are we all going to renew in the Championship? Ben Orr, 100% no. Adam Nethersole, feeble, which I think has become my favourite word to describe West Ham in the post-Moyes era. If it was possible to agree with you more, Adam, which it isn't, by the way, I would be doing it. Jim Odie, so disappointing. But I will be renewing the Championship. Right, with Adam again, with the exception of Bowen and maybe Fulkrug, when do you ever see a West Ham player put in a proper crunching tackle or show desire? So many sloping shoulders. Steph Rum, yep. How bleak. As soon as they scored, heads went down, and that was that. Very, very disappointing. Morris Cohen looked okay in the first half, but never really particularly threatening. The way we pass the ball is way too slow to open up space. Tadibo in particular is so ponderous. Really disappointed the debut from the goalkeeper, but can't go in too hard on him on debut. Thought Diouf looked up for it, but never found the space to make an impact. Really disappointing, and seeing the players' heads drop. And the general energy dip after half-time is also disappointing. At least Potter fronted up to it. Well, what else is he going to do, Morris? Needs to see an immediate improvement, but I'm worried about relegation again after taking a spoonful of hopium in pre-season. I love that, Morris. And you were one of the more positive ones. I think I just really like Graham Potter and expected him to do well. Still time. But man, those questions are coming thick and fast. Ben Orr, I can't see where we get our first win, and that includes a League Cup at Wolves. If 0 points, I wonder if Potter will last beyond the first international break. Your reaction to those, James, before I line up another one that I wanted to reply to.
I can't disagree with all of them. I love the feeble one. Bang on.
Yeah.
In answer to your original question, yes, I would renew in the Championship. But
I'm not doing the would you renew again. For the record, I wouldn't.
But yeah, there's it is a concern that the players' heads dropped seemingly just after the first goal. Just went, well, that's that then, sort of thing. You'd expect a little bit more fight, a little bit more, the 1-0 down to a newly promoted team that are buzzing because they're back in the big time. But you still should be a better team on paper than them. So that should mean that you can go at least give it something. Like try and score a goal. Actually put in a little bit of effort.
We did, other than that header, we had a header, didn't we, in the second half, which the keeper had to tip over, which I could have saved.
It weren't a header though. It weren't a header. It came off a defender's back. It looked like a Callum Wilson header, but when they showed the replay, I think Callum Wilson got like a couple of hairs to it. But other than that, it came off the defender's back. So it would have gone down as an own goal anyway. We scored, but it was an accident.
That was the closest we came, wasn't it, after they actually scored? One thing I did want to reply to, James, right? Morris Cohen on Patreon. 13th of August, he sent this, right? So it's before the game. It was in reaction to last week's podcast. It's a very long message, Morris, so you'll forgive me for not reading all of it out. But question for Will, can you explain in more detail why you've become so disillusioned with West Ham? It seems to be because we were competing in European competitions, having some of the best days of our lives, and the rug got pulled out when we got rid of Moyes. But getting into that position with Moyes was really a stroke of fortune. I'm not going to go down that road now, but No, it wasn't luck at all. There was nothing lucky about what West Ham did under David Moyes. He was brought in to save us from relegation. Most of our lives supporting West Ham, we couldn't dream of Europe. There's only 6 teams in the country who consistently play in those competitions. It's just sort of lots more of Morris explaining his views. Lots of positivity about Potter. And then said, combined with Potter's record for bringing in and developing good players. So if I'm right, I think things look relatively sunny. Fair play to Morris. he replied before I had the chat, because I just didn't reply. I was like, you know what, I'll talk about that on the podcast, because there's so much nuance to it. And fair play to Morris. Before I'd had a chance to reply either on the Patreon general West Ham message board or on here, he just said, "This is aged like milk," which is the second time I've read that phrase this season. And this is what I want to talk about, right? And he did, look, fair play to Morris, because I explained briefly on Patreon my thoughts in writing, but I want to do it properly. And he said, "Look, I never thought you were being like an arsehole about it or anything. Just wanted a more nuanced answer, because when I look at it, it doesn't look so bad, even after today. But that's obviously different on how you're looking at it. And I think we had very similar opinions on Moyes. So just interested to hear." I said, I'm not being negative because I think it's fun or a laugh. You can listen to any number of podcasts during the glorious European years to hear how ecstatic I was about West Ham at the time and how much I loved that era. I'm doing it because I really believe the club is in absolutely terrible state, and I think it was all self-inflicted. That makes me so sad, because I love West Ham and I've never been as happy as I was only a short time ago around things about the club. And I think we're a million miles away from reflecting any of those good times for a very, very long time. Now, that kind of sums it up. But I really, honestly, and it was the same last season, I'm constantly in this sort of state of not wanting to be so miserable. I think it's so bad at the moment. I think it's really, really bad. And with an understanding of the finances in football as well, the best analogy that I've stumbled across, I've been trying to think about what it's like to be able to think of the words to describe how I think of West Ham, right? The way the Premier League is now, with all the PSR rules and all that, and people think that's to make things fairer. They're not. It's to maintain the status quo, right? If your spending is capped by your revenue you bring in, that obviously benefits Manchester United, Arsenal, Chelsea, because they're and Tottenham, and that's why you're seeing all these stadium developments going on and clubs driving to increase their hospitality offerings, and tickets going to they don't want to do season tickets as much or offer as many season tickets, because those fans don't go into the club shop and spend money. That is all about revenue, which is so not what football is supposed to be about and what it's been about for most of our lives. But because I have an understanding of all that and the way football is now, I think football is very much now, the Premier League in particular, like F1, whereby if you you can be one of the greatest racing drivers ever, but if, say Max Verstappen at his peak, if you pick up Max Verstappen and put him in a Haas car or a Williams or an Alpine, forgive me if those teams don't still exist, my level of F1 knowledge is fairly limited. But if you pick up Max Verstappen and put him in one of those cars, he will be limited, right? So, but if you put an average driver in a Red Bull, he's going to have a significant advantage. I think that what gets lost so often is the club is the quality of the car, right? And its component parts are made up of the owners it's got and the way they approach running a football club. The amount of spending power a club has is obviously combined with those things, and its fan base and stadium, all of that, and training facilities, obviously. But so I think West Ham fans, or lots of them, particularly the ones who wanted David Moyes out, think that West Ham United as a football club, so regardless, the manager's the racing driver in this analogy, by the way, so they're interchangeable. I think lots of West Ham fans think as a football club that West Ham are like a Ferrari or a Mercedes or a McLaren or something like that, or at least one of the sort of, not one of the awful ones. But I really don't think we are. I think as a club, I think it's such a difficult job, which is why I think the job David Moyes did at West Ham is so often underappreciated, because of all of the years of mediocrity before, and because of what it appears are going to be another load of years of mediocrity now. David Moyes took a ramshackled he took the Ford Fiesta equivalent of an F1 car, which is what I think West Ham are as a club. And somehow, by hook or by crook, he made all those wild elements that West Ham United are, the owners, the nature of the fans, and how sort of aggressively passionate we all are at sometimes. And sometimes unreasonably so. The stadium, which everyone can agree now, it's not a weapon like it once was at Upton Park. The atmosphere's watered down. Took all of that wild stuff and somehow made that car. We're back to that analogy again. Like achieve and beat some of the other more like faster cars. And I just don't think that the manager getting a manager is the answer to these things. That's why when people go, "Oh, is Graham Potter the answer?" I'm like, well, there's so much more to it than that. I don't think he's got the necessary cojones and the skill. It's the invisible stuff that David Moyes was so good at. I think it was such a skill to bring all of those elements together. And I think it's so underappreciated. I don't think there are just managers like that, just dotted around. Like I would love Jose Mourinho, for example, but the fans wouldn't have his football. But it's not just about the football. It's about all the dark arts and the managing upwards and sideways and, and even managing the fan base. I just think it was such a unique skill. And I think the way the club's set up, we're not a Ferrari. We're more of if Ford Fiesta had a F1 team, we're more like that. And it's because I just don't see it getting any better for a long time. And that's what makes me miserable and depressed about it all.
Good analogy, by the way. I like that.
Thanks, mate. Good.
I think we can talk about Moyes and.
Yeah, I don't want to do that again, but just in answer to Morris's thing.
But
talk about the future then, James. Like, as in, do you think it's going to get? Because that's where it all boils down to. The reason I'm miserable because I can't see it being anything other than mediocre and crap for like a period of longer than a season. Do you know what I mean? I can't see it's just going to magic itself good again like it did under David.
But I think it can get better, and there has to be an element of stability within the football club in order for it to give it an opportunity to get better.
But we did have that, didn't we? Respectfully.
Yeah, but not towards the end of David Moyes' time, mate. Like, you talk about style of football, and it's not always just about. We won't go into it again. Fans wouldn't have Mourinho's style of football, but it's all very well. If the style of football's rubbish, but you're winning games, you kind of is a nice little trade-off. But when it's rubbish and you're losing games, then that's when it's like, okay, we've run out of time here. But
back to the F1 analogy, I happen to think that for clubs like West Ham and Nottingham Forest, for example, they're not the fastest of cars. I think the answer for teams who are set up like that, I think the answer for success is a more pragmatic style of football, which is why I don't think that's going to wash up West Ham, which is why another reason I feel like fans wouldn't have that anymore.
But then you look at teams like, I think Forest is a weird one because they've got an owner that's just chucking money at it left, right, and centre, and he's just buying 100 million. I think they signed 3 players today. What's he doing? But like I'm looking at these days. I've been looking a lot at Bournemouth. I watched them against Liverpool last Friday. A really, really exciting team to watch. Come from 2-0 down at Liverpool.
To lose 4-2.
To lose 4-2, but to come 2-0 down, that Semenyo's great. They're really nice team to watch. Yep. They're on the front foot a lot. They're attacking. They got a manager there that knows what he's doing, with next to no resources whatsoever in comparison to a club like West Ham, right? And that's not me to say that I wish they spend money, of course, but they've got the Premier League money behind them. But they don't spend anywhere near as much money as half the other clubs in the Premier League. But they've got a really nice team to watch with a good manager, and it's looking good. They had a good season last year. They'll probably have a better one this year.
Came 9th last year. Yeah.
So it's like, and you got like when they appointed Iraola, no one even knew who this geezer was, right? And he's just rocked up there, and he's had a fantastic couple of years. They got a really good squad, really nice. With minimal resources in comparison to clubs like West Ham.
But their fans know they're driving a Ford Fiesta, don't they?
Yes.
Or that Iraola's driving a Ford Fiesta.
Yeah, but
so he gets patience.
It maybe, and I don't see how we'll be watching a club there with fewer resources do better than us, play better football than us, and seemingly going to be more successful than us this season. I don't see at any point how we can go, yeah, but it won't happen to us. Like, why not? Why not? Yes, there are other things, right? There are other things, yes, But what I'm saying is why?
Because I don't think our owners would appoint someone like that. Is why I don't think they would ever take a risk.
But what I'm saying is, why can't Graham Potter be that guy? That's what I'm saying.
Well,
Iraola had a really poor start when he joined at Bournemouth, and
not as bad as Potter's, but yeah.
And they stuck with him, and suddenly you're like, okay, well, look at them now. They're doing really well. Everyone's like, oh, Bournemouth are a good side. It'll be a tough game this week if we're playing them. So, and they're driving a Full Fiesta. So
yeah, but no. See,
why are we looking at West Ham going, well, it's West Ham. We'll never get better than this. Like it's going to get worse probably. We're also driving a Full Fiesta, so why can't it get better for us with the same manager we've got now? I said it last week. We can't just start sacking managers after a bad 6 months.
No, but that's my point, mate. Sorry, my point is I don't necessarily think it's just that. I in this instant, I think David Moyes was an anomaly, right? I think as a rule, I don't think we're not in the 90s anymore, where a manager doesn't run the football club anymore. So just changing the manager isn't the answer, in my humble opinion, right?
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
David Moyes come along and kind of bucked that trend, kind of single-handedly done some sort of weird alchemy, pulled it all together, made it all work, and achieved what he achieved in spite of, in spite of the owners, in spite of the fans being on his back a lot of the time, blah, blah, blah. He did all that in spite of all that. But I think he's an exception to the rule. So therefore, I think you look at clubs like Brighton and Brentford as an example, who are more, and Aston Villa, it's a combination of the quality of staff you have running the club, so from owners downwards, and financial spend. That's kind of the two major components that decide how quick your car is that you're driving, right? So, and I just think, and lots of people on Twitter this week are quick to blame the owners. West Ham's board wouldn't make an appointment like Areola. They wouldn't. Look at all of our last like previous managers. They've all been, and then you kind of see it with the players that Sullivan likes to buy as well. They need to have done it in the Premier League before. It's almost like he just doesn't trust taking any other risks. Pellegrini, David Moyes, even you know what I'm saying. Even Lopetegui done it at Wolves. Like, there's no way you'd have hired Lopetegui if he hadn't been at Wolves. Do you know what I mean? Graham Potter, Brighton. You get Callum Wilson, Danny. You get my point.
Yeah.
So I just don't think that's what I mean. I just don't think with the board and the decisions they will make that it's as simple as, and the spending power we've now got as a result of their heavy financial backing of Lopetegui. That's why I feel so bleak about it, because I just don't think there's going to be any inspirational appointments. I don't think there's going to be any inspirational recruitment moves. Tim Steidten was about as close as we came to David Sullivan sticking his neck on the line a bit, and actually it seemed handing some power over. And because that's gone wrong, which it did catastrophically, I haven't heard as much from all those people who were spaffing about Tim Steidten. That went wrong catastrophically, and David Sullivan's now gone. I will see that didn't work, and use it as an excuse to take back all the power when it comes to transfers into his hand. Kyle McCauley, his job is nowhere near as cloutful. He has not got anywhere near as much clout and say at West Ham as Tim Steidten did. And I think the way the club's set up is uninspiring. And I think, like I say, I think what David Moyes managed to do with that, like, Ford Fiesta of an F1 car was unbelievable. And I just don't think there are many managers around who don't play a pragmatic style of football who are going to come and do anything like that again. That's ultimately what I think, and that was my response to Morris. And I think I am going to just take the shekels off a little bit this season, and I don't really like it, but just sort of stop worrying about sounding too negative, because I think you can do the blind optimism bit, can't you?
Yeah, I can do that.
I did the miserable bit all last season, and it was like, didn't enjoy being proved right about it all, really. And I just unfortunately think that will happen again this year. But yeah, that was quite long in the end, James, wasn't it?
It was a good episode, though, even if it didn't involve any joy.
No, absolutely not. We didn't even get to the well, we covered it briefly. We didn't even get to the Karen Brady interview on TalkSport on Sunday. But I think lots of people have seen that. Go and have a look at it. I think it's on the TalkSport YouTube channel. Sean Custis and Henry Winter doing the interview. I'm sure most of you have seen it already. But yeah, some fairly strong reaction came out to that on social media, and if we get time, Jonesy and I will have a chat about it next week. But thank you very much for listening, everyone. Don't forget, on Thursday we have got the opposition view ahead of Friday night's game against Chelsea. Sorry, it won't be Friday, would it? Of course, because the game's Friday night. So ignore what I said earlier in the podcast. If you're a Patreon, you'll get the opposition view on Wednesday. For everyone else, it will be Thursday, and you can also watch it on our YouTube channel as well on Thursday too. Make sure you are subscribed to that YouTube channel, We Are West Ham Podcast. We're at We Are West Ham Pod on Twitter. At We Are West Ham Podcast on Twitter. No, we're not. At We Are _ West Ham on Twitter. Sorry, James. There we go. We Are West Ham Pod on Instagram. And if you fancy getting these podcasts a day earlier than everyone else and listen to them without adverts, then subscribe to our Patreon, patreon.com/We Are West Ham Podcast. It's not very much money, and you get stuff early and without adverts. What's not to like? James, wonderful to speak to you again, mate. As bleak of the top subject matter as it was. Thanks for listening, everyone, or watching if you got us on YouTube. Thanks to Alex for your help, as always. And West Ham, second bottom in the table, thanks to Wolves. Chelsea at home, world champions on Friday night. What's not to be excited about? Thanks for listening. Up the Hammers. West Ham are massive.